how do you survive in business in an environment with corruption, get quick schemes? I mean, it's a loaded question. And it painted, you know, the kind of environment that we're talking about. How do you have an honest business, she's saying, in that selfishness, cutting corners, get rich schemes, and just rampant corruption? How do you build a business in that environment?
It's a very difficult and a sensitive question here. But I must say that, Bishop, in our society here, it depends on how you define corruption. And I also think that one of the reasons that allows for corruption, however we define it, is because of the lack of systems and also process, procedures. For whatever reason, if you, and it's also because of the way we have embraced democracy and the lack of maturity in this part of our world when it comes to democracy. I don't think we have matured yet to appreciate the importance or the value of democracy and how to work it. So you have a lot of people that go into politics, you know. There's something you said that was very important about the ladder that you use to build a house, that after the house is built, you remove it. And I think it's one of the challenges that politicians and especially presidents face in this part of the world, that the people who help you to win election may not necessarily be the same people that will help you to govern, because winning election is different from governing a nation. But because of the way the political parties in this country is structured, you have people that are very, very loyal that can help you to win the election, but having been through process or having developed capacity to help you govern. And so you end up, because they help you win the election, the parties have an expectation and do put demands on you and to put certain people in certain positions, not because they have been through the process or developed capacity, but it's because they help you win the election and they were loyal, and it's necessary. And until we have a plan in place to help people who help us to win the election, to settle them and find them something to do, but not necessarily give them position of responsibility because they haven't been through a process and they haven't developed capacity for those positions, this issue of corruption is not going to change. Because if you put somebody in office who hasn't saved maybe $10,000 in his life, hasn't seen it before, haven't registered a company, haven't bought a land, registered a land, hasn't built any business before, haven't paid anybody's salary and all that, and don't think, because like you said, I mean, I have hundreds of people I have to pay their salary every month, and there are some investments and businesses I own that I want to kill it because it can't keep itself alive, and it's draining me and draining all our investment. But when it comes to killing it, you face a lot of challenges. One of them is a sense of failure and embarrassment, that you attempted or tried something and it didn't work, and then you have to think about the families of the people you are going to let go. You know, so it's very, very complex. But you have to make a decision, and that is where leadership comes in. You must have the courage, you know, to accept that it didn't work and it's not working, and I have to let it go and concentrate on other things that is working. So I don't kill everything, because if you keep taking from this and from that to keep this alive, and it keep draining you, you end up losing everything. So I think that one of the reasons why corruption really prevails and is dominant in this part of Africa and in our country is the fact that when you have people in places of responsibility who haven't been through the process and they haven't been tested and tried, exposing them to wealth that they've never seen before, exposures they've never had before, monies they've never handled before, they will be corrupt, they will be tempted. It's very difficult to tempt somebody, okay, who has seen even more than what he's being tempted by. I was telling somebody the other day that it was good for me to have been tempted and dealt with certain things I dealt with some 10 years ago, because I can accept, and society may accept, certain failures But as of now, for where I am, I can't afford certain errors. And I needed to go through what I went through, fail when I failed, to learn what I had to learn so I can be in a better place right now and be able to see temptation and walk away from it and not be tempted, because I know the consequence of temptation, because I've been there before. So I think that may be the difference between corruption in this part of the world, in the United States or the West, because you have laws, even though there is corruption there, that makes corruption difficult. And you also have people who have been through process, and people who have developed capacity for those offices and position and wealth. In this part of the world, a lot of people find themselves in places of responsibility, not because they've been through process and not because they've developed capacity. Somebody can be in authority who has a brother, a sister, a loved one, a friend, and they will find ways to set them up and in giving them jobs and giving them contracts and giving them things to do to make money, not because they've been through process and not because they have capacity. And those who have been through process and have capacity will be denied those jobs and responsibility, because you have somebody in office who do not understand that the reason for being in that office is not to help himself or to help his loved ones, but he's been given responsibility to enhance and to bring about change and development of a country, of a community, of a people, whether they are in your party or not in your party. So what happens is we have a vicious cycle where if I'm in party B, and I was in opposition, and my party comes into office and party A leaves office, then when we come into office, I have to do everything to destroy the followers of party A and do everything to bring my people there, even if they don't have capacity and even if they haven't been through process. So we have a vicious cycle. So I bankrupt all the business people that supported the party A president and destroy everything. Then when they come and I go back into position, they also make sure that they destroy every one of us. So it becomes a vicious cycle. So the country is not moving forward. And we need leaders like a Nelson Mandela, who have learned that power is not for revenge, and power is not to settle scores, but power is for development, and power is for transformation. And that you don't use power to destroy your enemies, but you use power to change the thinking of your enemies and to engage your enemies for the progress of the country. And leaders who understand, like Nelson Mandela was asked to go home after being in prison for 27 years, and he said that I'm not going home. I'd rather suffer and remain in prison until the people for which I have suffered for 27 years are set free, because this freedom is not setting my people free. Because if I have to be free and the people for which I've suffered all these years still remain in captivity and under the rule of apartheid, then this freedom means nothing. And like Kwame Nkrumah said, he said that until the freedom of Ghana, it's seen and it's interpreted to the total liberation of freedom of the entire continent of Africa, that the freedom of Ghana is meaningless. And so we need leaders who are generational leaders, to create a society, that is conducive for business and for every Ghanaian and every citizen of their country, without revenge, and leaders who understand that there are people who can help you to win an election or to do well in life, who may not have the capacity or haven't been through the process to hold certain positions, and that sometimes you may have to even use an enemy who have been through process and have developed capacity, and just keep an eye on them and still give them power, but don't give them control if they have what it takes to move the country forward and enhance the nation, instead of using a loved one who hasn't developed capacity and haven't been through process.